Oh, what's going on, people? My name is Batman, and Call of Duty has always had a very special relationship with YouTube. MW2 basically spawned an entire genre of YouTube videos, the gameplay commentary, which saw widespread use and critical acclaim back in 2009, largely revolved around MW2 in the beginning. That format gradually saw more widespread use among any and every game, and not long after, 50% of all views on YouTube were gaming related. So really, a huge section of the YouTube gaming community has its roots in MW2, and every gameplay commentary you see, for whatever game it is, has its roots in MW2. Without that game, this community might not even be as large and profitable as it is today for so many people. And in return, YouTube has been very good to Call of Duty. The thing you have to understand about YouTube gaming videos is that they are an incredibly effective form of advertising, perhaps the most effective, and to top it off, they are generally free of cost to the publisher. Any video that is not explicitly bad-mouthing a game, like when I bitch about how bad COD lag is, or using footage to demonstrate a game's failure, such as pointing out just how terrible COD's lag is. Any video not doing those things is advertising. Even if it's not saying anything positive, if it's neutral, if it's an off-topic commentary with COD gameplay, every tips and tricks video, every Easter egg video, every sniping montage, trolling video, and MLG live comm, it is all very effective advertising, because most effective advertisement is never the advertisement that makes the most persuasive logical case to buy a product. The most effective advertisements are always those which can coax some sort of engagement out of the viewer or establish an emotional connection. Think of all the Geico ads you've seen, many of which I consider some of the greatest ads of all time. But all those ads are designed with one goal in mind: to make you laugh. Because all the science tells us that the best way to sell car insurance, or any product really, is to make the targeted customer laugh. It's about establishing the product in the customer's memory in a favorable way. It's about forming an emotional connection. Think about Facebook posts, something that every company now considers an integral part of their operation. Half the time those posts aren't even trying to sell you anything. They're just reminding you that they exist, trying to establish a connection with you. YouTube videos are extremely effective in this regard. There's a wide range of commentators. You choose the advertisement that is best for you, whether it's silly hijinks that you consume with amusement and reckless abandon, or more substantive discussions about the inner workings of a game. Every time you laugh, every time you are provoked to think, every time you have a conversation in the comments section, your engagement, the emotional and intellectual bonds and links between you and the product are being fortified, exponentially increasing the chances that you buy the game in the future. Anytime you've ever seen a video that made you want to play the game, you know what I'm talking about. You see some really good gameplay and it gives you the urge to go get back on the game itself. That is the most powerful advertisement any game can ever have. And again, the other huge appeal for publishers is that it's completely free. COD has benefited from YouTube in huge and lasting ways, and it's been a mutually beneficial relationship. However, in the last couple years, Activision and Call of Duty developers have been meddling with the system, and rooted in the hopelessly destructive combination of their overwhelming arrogance and pathetic ignorance, they are destroying what was a perfect harmony for everyone involved. It is short-term thinking for a temporary boost in publicity right before a game's release that in the long term destroys the foundations of the entire system. And these destructive short-term habits essentially boil down to the special treatment of the biggest gaming YouTubers. And I want to preface everything I'm about to say by clarifying two things. First of all, I am not in any way trying to attack the character or integrity of these larger YouTubers who take part in these special deals. I expect people to do what's in their best interest, especially when income is involved, and I don't hold it against them. And these aren't incredibly immoral deals. I just want to argue that they are stupid deals that everyone would be better off without. And secondly, I hope nobody will interpret this video as a sort of product of my personal bitterness or jealousy about not receiving that special treatment myself, or that I'm pissed off that other channels are bigger than mine. This isn't about me or my success on YouTube. Although I do wish it had been easier to grow my channel using COD videos in the past, I've reached a point where I no longer, have to claw my way up, so to speak. I've sort of hit that subscriber threshold where my success will come down 100% to how much work I put into it. And besides, most of my growth comes from Destiny and Halo vids anyways. In fact, very little of it has come from Call of Duty, and that's kind of the point I'm going to try to make. And besides, I talk way too much shit to ever get a special deal from anyone, so it's a moot point really. This video is just about how the way Activision and COD developers are forcibly trying to manipulate the Call of Duty YouTube relationship in a way that benefits their sales in the short term, but is gradually degrading the overall quality of the entire relationship in the long run. It's hurting smaller YouTube channels, which subsequently takes a serious toll on the quality and quantity of Call of Duty YouTube videos, and that's not good for us as YouTube viewers, or for them, because when it degrades the quality and quantity of Call of Duty YouTube videos, that's their advertising that's quality and quantity is being degraded. So the special deals, or perhaps the better phrase, special treatment, because I'm not sure it's actually a deal, it's just sort of a treatment, a thing that takes place, that is at the root of the problem, is the early access that the big YouTubers receive every year for every new Call of Duty and for every piece of COD DLC. For the last few years, around the beginning of August, about 3 months before the release of the new COD, Activision invites a bunch of the larger YouTubers to an event where they can record gameplay on the new COD and upload it to their channels. Now, it used to be that there was like a 2-minute cap on how much footage could be used at one time, but that was apparently removed at some point preceding the release of AW, because everyone started posting, 40-minute collections of all the AW footage they had, or just straight up doing standard gameplay commentaries as if the game was already out. Now, because the event is invite only channels that are already large and established to get in on it, right? There are never any new or small channels getting a piece of that cake, and this makes sense. What Activision is trying to do is aggressively hype the next COD with super effective and free advertising that is YouTube. And even though in the short term, I'm sure it does spike the amount of online traffic and interest that the game is receiving, in the long term, it is making the method itself less effective with each passing release. And unsurprisingly, COD sales are way down. They are bottoming out. With each of the last successive 3 or 4 years, they've been going down. Now, part of that has to do with COD itself, but I'm sure a bigger part of that has to do with the fact that the amount of free advertising and the effectiveness of that advertising on YouTube has decayed. And I'll explain why I think this is related. The result of this early access system is that smaller or new channels are effectively shut out entirely from any opportunity to grow their channel using Call of Duty videos. Because if you're a smaller new channel, you are already at a huge disadvantage. It's very hard to get to the front page of a particular search term because you have to compete with a bunch of much larger, already established channels. Even channels of my size can guarantee to get to that front page with every video, regardless of the overall quality of that video, yada yada yada. The only consistent way for a new or small channel to achieve growth is to post a really good video right when the searches or traffic for that particular topic are spiking. Typically that means at the initial release of a new game. So imagine you've just started YouTube. You want to make COD videos, you got some great ideas for how to make your videos stand out, right? Maybe you have a new type of gameplay format or a new type of commentary, or you're an expert rapper or something. You got some great ideas for what you want to do. People like your stuff, you always hear good things about it, but you can't get any traffic because your videos aren't getting any love in the search engine because you don't have enough subscribers to compete for that front page search traffic. You can't compete with all the other bigger channels because they post a video of them sucking their thumb. You can get 30,000 views on it. It's a big advantage having a subscriber base. Now, traditionally, in that situation, what you have to do, what basically every channel has had to do at one point or another, is wait until the release of a new COD. And right when that new COD releases, you play the shit out of it and figure out as much stuff as you can and rack up as much cool gameplay as you can, and then release the highest quality video possible as early as possible for what you know will be a very popular search term, such as something like best class setups or best gun or sniping montage. Because if the game is just released, you have a very high chance of getting onto that front page of the searches for a little while, just because the game hasn't been out long enough for every other YouTuber to saturate the search term, right? And at the same time, because the game has just released, it's getting like 50 times more traffic than it gets at any other time of the year. It's really the only consistent way to get traffic when you have no subscriber base to build off of to aid you. You have to post really high quality videos right during the initial spike of a freshly released game or piece of DLC, and most likely your video won't stay at that front page, but hopefully it's there long enough to earn you some new subscribers, and you repeat that process again and again and again until you've gradually built up an actual subscriber base. That's how it worked for me, at least. That's how it's worked for most of the channels that I've talked to who have sort of hit this, a threshold where they don't have to claw their way up anymore. You really gotta fucking claw when you start out with 0 subscribers. You gotta put in, 10 times more effort than any of the big guys. Not to call myself big, but I'm talking about myself kind of too. Like there's a threshold that you hit where you are in the clear. You no longer have to claw. And before you hit that, you have to claw. That's like during that first, 10,000 subs, before you hit 10K. And, most of my growth did not come from Call of Duty, even though that's the game I put like 10 times more effort into covering and taking advantage of. And there's a reason for that, and it's because the early access to new COD games and DLC that the biggest YouTubers get completely destroys any opportunity a smaller new channel has at acquiring growth, and gives those larger channels a full monopoly on COD videos, basically. Because again, just due to their size and the nature of the YouTube SEO system, they already basically have that monopoly 11 months out of 12 in a year. Smaller new channels will never be able to compete with the big channels during most of the year. It is only the unique circumstances during the initial release of a game that give smaller channels an opening to break out into. But the early access that has now become an annual tradition has monopolized that 1 month and its special circumstances as well. Because when these big YouTubers get that gameplay, they really make the most of it. And again, I'm not holding this against them. You know, business is war. If YouTube is your business, I don't blame you for being aggressive about attaining success, right? But they've been doing this for a while. They know what the popular search terms are going to be, and they start setting themselves up to maximize and milk every last view out of every popular search term 3 months before the game comes out. For instance, you know, T. Martin, Allier, Drifter. You know, that's 3 biggest COD channels that come to my mind. They got the early access. All 3 of them had videos whose title included some version of Advanced Warfare Best Class Setups, Advanced Warfare Best Gun, Advanced Warfare Sniping, Advanced Warfare Review, etc., etc. The list goes on. You know, they know what the best, most popular search terms are going to be. And there are probably about a dozen channels that annually get access to this huge advantage, the smallest ones being around my size, all of whom were aggressively setting up videos in each popular search term. And so they can guarantee, you know, 50 to 100,000 views on these videos just when they first post them. Then the videos have 3 months to grow before release, and the result is that by the time the game actually releases, all of the popular search terms are already fully saturated. And so they can guarantee, you know, 100,000 views on these videos when they first post them. Then the videos have 3 months to grow before release, and the result is that by the time the game actually releases, all of the popular search terms are already fully saturated. Any new or smaller YouTube channels have zero opportunity to break into the COD YouTube scene. Even if they come up with a super high quality, best class setup video within 24 hours of the game's release, it's already too late. It's been monopolized. And the exact same thing happens on a smaller scale with all the DLC, because you have these big guys who have some sort of deal worked out where they get to hype each DLC pack a few days in advance every single time, and it has the exact same effect. You know, they get to post that gameplay. There will be a small spike in traffic every time a DLC pack is released, but that traffic spike is inaccessible to small channels. Now, a really good example, I think, of what could have been a great Call of Duty channel, but which never came to be, is Datto Does Destiny. Now, before Datto did Destiny, Datto did Call of Duty. He had Black Ops 2 videos. I remember them. They were very good as his Destiny videos are now. They were highly substantive commentaries. He took advantage of theater mode to get really cool visuals going. They were very high quality. But that channel was eventually abandoned. And I don't want to speak for Datto, but I'll tell you this much. Channels don't get abandoned because they're overwhelmingly successful. Datto gave up on COD and moved on to Destiny, where he achieved the levels of success he deserves based on the quality of his videos. And what you've seen with Destiny in relation to YouTube is a bunch of new channels that have been able to sprout up naturally because Destiny hasn't been monopolized on YouTube yet. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've personally seen many other COD channels, all of which had videos of a much higher quality than what you typically see from the top channels these days, all of which had under 10,000 subs, most of which have since been abandoned. In my experience, the highest quality videos comes from the smallest channels, because those are the guys trying to elbow their way in. And in all honesty, the worst COD videos I've ever seen are from the 2 biggest COD channels. And like I said, I don't want to attack anyone's character integrity, but I do reserve the right to criticize the quality of their content, because it's a big part of the problem I'm talking about here. Shutting out small channels, denying the opportunity for any growth to new channels, is bad for the average YouTube viewer watching COD videos, and because of that, in the long run, it's bad for the Call of Duty franchise itself, because they are gradually destroying both the quality and the quantity of the free advertising they like so much. Because you have bigger channels gradually moving on from Call of Duty videos, or still, yeah, you have plenty of channels that perhaps used to revolve entirely around Call of Duty, but now their typical upload portfolio has diversified to include, you know, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5, Battlefield, and Halo are making inroads. You've seen some of the biggest COD channels of the past abandon COD in its entirety and move on to random shit like Gmod. And so you have older, bigger channels emigrating away from Call of Duty, but there's nobody new to replace them, because there's been no opportunity for anything new to grow. And bigger, older channels leaving COD doesn't make more room on the front search page, doesn't provide any more of an opening to smaller channels. It just makes it that much easier for the same big channels to acquire that much more real estate on the front page of searches. So it used to be, you know, you search for a generic COD term, like the name of a game, for instance, Call of Duty Black Ops or what have you, you would see 10 different videos from 10 different channels. But nowadays, if you were to search, you know, Advanced Warfare, for instance, you see 10 videos from the same 3 or 4 channels. In fact, you search it right now, the first 5 or 6 results are all Ali A. You know, it didn't used to be that way. And on the off chance somebody doesn't like Ali A, that's somebody who is not going to be seen as much Call of Duty advertising on YouTube, because they're going to watch less videos when their options are restricted. So you have less channels posting less Call of Duty videos. That translates to less overall views, a much lower quantity of advertising for Call of Duty, and that's something they should be concerned about. Now, what they should also be concerned about, but more importantly, what you as a YouTube viewer should be concerned about, is the significantly lower quality of COD videos available on YouTube. Less channels means less options. On the off chance you don't enjoy Allier or Team Martin all that much, you're probably not going to watch very many COD videos. Some people want good COD gameplay, some people want comedy, some people want news, some people want very substantive discussions like you'd see on 60 Minutes or whatever. And it used to be there were several COD channels to appeal to every preference for every type of viewer, but nowadays you have less and less channels appealing to your particular preference, which means you have less and less of the kind of videos you want to watch. And it also means that there's very little competition in the COD YouTube scene. It used to be back in MW2 and Black Ops 1, the golden era of COD on YouTube, that every channel was doing everything in its power to outdo every other channel and elbow their way into people's subscription feeds. There was so much variety in the types of videos being posted. Everyone was trying to get the absolute best gameplay of all time using wacky setups or whatever. None of that competition and the subsequent boost in quality and video diversity exists today. And I think it really shows. Very few major COD channels are trying to find some new innovation that they weren't using as far back as MW2. Nobody even gives a shit about the quality of their gameplay anymore. They just post them playing the most recent COD. It's never anything special. Many of the commentaries are lacking so severely in substance that it makes me want to cry. I mean, every now and then I'll click on a T Martin or Allier video because they have some new exciting information about the next COD. I clicked on this Allier video, right, that had evidence supposedly that the next COD might be World at War II. And, you know, I was interested, so I watched it. And the evidence is that Treyarch made a Facebook post commemorating the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and that might mean something. Which is fair, it very well may be some sort of coded hint, but it's a piece of information that could have been relayed in a tweet with characters to spare. But they have to turn it into like this 6-minute video, and they spend 30 seconds in the middle of the video actually discussing what the title is about, and then the other 5 minutes or so is just them making noises with their mouths. You know, lack of competition always destroys quality. That's why Comcast sucks so much ass. That's why the COD YouTube scene is dying. And lastly, the echo chamber. Those big channels that are getting this special annual advantage aren't going anywhere because why would they when they have such a sweet setup? But they want to keep getting this special treatment, so they're never going to actually register criticism for the game or its developers. They want to get invited to record gameplay of the new COD 3 months in advance. They want to release DLC footage a few days before the DLC releases. They want to get invited to Sledgehammer's offices for a tour and post a video of it. They want to get that big leak from inside the COD machine in March that announces the hype train for the next COD. They want interviews with Michael Condrey. They'll never do anything to threaten that status quo or to threaten the very foundation of all their success, Call of Duty itself. And anyone who might have a differing opinion, that super rare thing called a criticism, has a very difficult time breaking into the scene to express a different point of view, which is a problem because such a huge part of the fan base has that different point of view, has criticism. It's not unusual for a COD YouTube video to get 50,000 views, right? An opinion in a video can reach tens of thousands of people, and that's where opinions can be molded and informed, and the video stays up and can be referred to and revisited. It can communicate new ideas and perspectives in a way that no forum post or conversation ever will. It's a super important part of a community's growth. It's important that people hear different points of view, that people have the opportunity to have their own views or opinions challenged or informed or confirmed or disagreed with. That's the entire purpose of any journalism source ever. That's why every industry, from cooking to tech, politics, whatever, eventually and naturally every institution sees some sort of media developed to cover it, because there has to be some sort of outlet for intellectual growth on the part of everyone involved. Otherwise, the industry and its products stagnate, and stagnation, if it persists, inevitably leads to death, or at the very least a lower quality. And the fact of the matter is that most COD players and gamers in general are using YouTube as their journalism source. But because most of the major players in YouTube aren't going to threaten that status quo or register differing opinions, or frankly register any kind of opinion ever at all, the COD community collectively has not had the chance to properly grow or develop informed opinions about the game because there's a serious breakdown and communication going on. COD developers are going to the focus groups and asking the typical gamer what they want, but the typical gamer doesn't necessarily know what they want or don't want, or maybe they do but they don't know how to articulate it. It's hard to articulate why it takes no skill, why it's so frustrating, why it feels unfair. These are general criticisms everyone shares, but because they've never been discussed at length in the public square that is YouTube, very few people can articulate the specifics and fewer can articulate the solutions. And if anyone ever does successfully articulate these things, the information won't get spread around for widespread consumption and thought provocation because there's this impenetrable roadblock to the development of not COD itself, but the COD community. And that roadblock is the Call of Duty YouTube personality industrial complex. So what I propose is that instead of having this invite-only event every August for select few YouTubers, why not have one of those competitions like they did a long time ago for COD XP tickets? Remember that during Black Ops 1 you could earn a ticket if you got into the top 10 of most kills in TDM or most flag caps in Dom and so forth, and you'd win a ticket to go to LA to the COD XP event? I remember I really wanted to go, and I stayed up for 24 hours straight playing Domination, just capping as many flags as I could, and I won 6th place, and then I got fucked over because I was 16 and you had to be 18 to go. I thought maybe my mom could sign a permission slip or something, but no, I got fucked over. But what if they had a competition like that again and the winners get to record gameplay early? Then there would be an opportunity for everyone willing to work hard enough to get in on recording that gameplay. The contest itself would spike playtimes and they'd still get their, sudden boost in hype and traffic right before the release of the game. Or better yet, just have an open beta. It would be better for the typical YouTube viewer watching COD. And overall, in the end, it would be better for the free advertising, both in terms of quantity and quality, that COD thrives on. And that YouTube advertising, which has played such a significant role in its overwhelming success these last couple of years. Please like and share the video if you support the cause. The For the Win query of the day is which YouTuber that posts Call of Duty as a part of their lineup, or if it's their only lineup, which Call of Duty YouTuber do you love or hate the most, and why? Much love, and may the force be with you. This is Batman, signing out.